Thank you for joining us today at the LDRS Creative YouTube tutorial channel, where we hope to inspire.
Hi everyone, it's Christine here for Little Darlings Rubber Stamps, and I am so incredibly excited to share with you today that I have been invited to join the Little Darlings design team. This is a wonderful stamp company. They sell amazingly gorgeous stamps, intricate, beautiful, classy dies, and tons of other extras as well that just make your card making needs so much easier. It's just a wonderful company. I've been an admirer of the company, and I've bought from the company for years and years, and I was so honored to be asked to join the design team. So today I am here to share with you my very first card as a design team member for Little Darlings, and this is the card that we're going to be working on today. She's super fun and just darling, as it says in the name of the company. She really is darling. I just love her. So I have painted her with my Zig markers and a water brush. I added lots of glitter, which will be on the pictures of my blog. It's not showing up super great on the camera, just a little bit here and there. And I added glossy accents over top of the Wink of Stella glitter onto the cups and the tea. This has always been one of my absolute favorite images, and I knew she was going to be the first image I was going to work with, because for me, reading and with a nice cup of tea is what I love to do most, aside from crafting, of course, and spending time with my family. But reading is one of my absolute favorite things to do in this entire world. I just love it. So this image was perfect for me. So what I'm going to show you how to do today is how I painted this very intricate image, and I'm still able to achieve a alcohol marker type blending, but with watercolors. So I want to go over that with you today, and then at the end of the video I will show you the supplies that I used to put this card together, and I will also show you kind of walk you through how I put the card together. So let's go ahead and get started. This is the image that we are working on today, and it's called Time for Tea, and again, she's absolutely beautiful. I just can't get enough of her. And the stamps come in a package like this, and this is so awesome. They are rubber stamps, but look at the backing here. You actually get to see what the image looks like exactly, almost as if it was clear, even though it's not clear. It's just so wonderful. I love that little design that they have done with their packaging. It is so wonderful. All right, so I went ahead and stamped my image with some waterproof or watercolor safe rather ink, black ink, and I am going to go ahead now and zoom in and start the coloring process. I am using Zig markers and a water brush to do some painting of this image today. So I went ahead and zoomed in, so hopefully you can see, and I will call out the colors as I use them. I really did not use very many Zig markers, and you could get away with using even fewer than I did here. So let's go ahead and get started. As always, I'm going to start with her hair. For the hair, I used two colors. I used brown and light brown. And I always start with the darkest color first, and I like to work in sections. If you've seen any of my videos before, you know that I kind of take the image and parse it out into little sections. This helps me keep my shading straight, and it also helps me make sure that I don't leave the ink from the marker on here too long, so it doesn't get dry and will be able to be spread easily with the water. So I'm going to just do this section down to here of her hair first. And I'm putting down the dark first, and I'm just kind of using the image as it's drawn, as the artist has drawn it, to kind of show me where it's going to be shaded and where there's going to be bright spots. She's kind of facing to the left, so I imagine that the sun or the light source or whatever you want to call it is coming in from the left. But with hair, you can kind of almost not worry about that so much and more look at how the image is drawn and what you can take away from that. So you have hair here that's around the bow. Obviously underneath the bow is going to be shaded, so it's going to be darker. I'm coming in now with my light brown, which is my lightest rather of the two colors that I'm using, and I'm blending out, pulling out that brown with the light brown. So I'm mixing the two colors together. I'm now going to be using a Zig water brush to blend these colors out into the open space to fill that in, which will almost create a third color for us and will be the lightest of our color and will be where the lightest or the highlight of this portion of hair is. So there you have it there. And isn't that beautiful, guys? Look at the beautiful shading that you have there, just from so little effort. It really is easy to use these markers on these complex images. So now I'm going to come in and just come in with a light brown down here as well to get that kind of mixed. And now I'm going to work on this section of hair down here. So underneath her chin is certainly going to be darkest, and then on these little tufts of hair, the little tips of the tufts of hair as they kind of jut out. And then coming in with a light brown again. All right, and now we'll use our water brush to blend. If you don't have a water brush, you can use a paintbrush and just dip it in a glass of water. That will work as well. But I do recommend, if you use a paintbrush or even a water brush, get one with a very fine tip. That will help you really get into these fine images of some of these more complex, or small spaces rather, of some of these complex images, and will make your life so much easier. Now I'm going to come in and do this section of hair next. So under the bow, of course, is going to be darkest, and then out here, I'm just doing this little tuft of hair right here. Because again, I like to break this up into sections to keep me organized with my shading and also to keep it nice and wet. By the way, I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but I did stamp this image onto Bristol Smooth cardstock. I have found that Bristol Smooth works great, even using water, even though it's not a watercolor paper. I would not recommend it for painting, but it does work for the zigs, as long as you're, pretty light on your water and not too crazy, which for an image this detailed, we certainly are going to be a little bit light on our water, because even though it's a very large detailed image, the overall different sections of the image are relatively small, if that makes sense. So you're not going to be putting a lot of water down in any given section. And that's why the Bristol Smooth works beautifully for this particular image, even though we're using water. However, you can by all means use the Canson XL watercolor paper or any watercolor paper that you like. I say Canson because it happens to be my favorite. It's wonderful, and it is very affordable. So that's kind of why I kind of talk about it and push that one. But you can use any watercolor paper that you have, or you can use Bristol Smooth cardstock. Those are the different cardstocks that I would recommend for this technique. So as you can see here, I'm just coming in into these different sections of hair, coming in with my brown and then blending the light brown with it, and then using the water to mix it all out into the white space that remains. And on this section here, the little tail ends of the hair is going to be darkest, as well as right underneath her chin. So that's why I'm putting that line of color down first. Now when you put your color down from your marker, you're literally just scribbling it on. You're just making a line of color. There's no technique to that at all. Anyone could do it. That's what makes these markers so wonderfully easy and beautiful to use. So there's your final result, guys, for her hair. And this was done very quickly without the best vantage point. So remember that too. I'm doing this really quickly, and I can't get my head right over top of the image, because then my head would be in the camera and you guys couldn't see anything. So that would be kind of pointless. So I just want you guys to know that you guys can do this. You can absolutely make beautiful coloring with lots of beautiful shading with these zig markers. Just a few of them is all you need, and a water brush. So now I'm going to focus on her little pink bow here. I'm going to put just a little bit of pink marker down. This is pink. And then use my water brush to blend this out. The less marker that you scribble down, the more dramatic your shading is going to be. So I kind of want this bow to be a little bit lighter than I had it in my original card. In my original card, I had it quite dark. You can still see shading on it, but I did have it a much darker pink just by putting a little bit more marker on. So I want to show you how you can kind of vary that up a little bit based on how much marker you actually put down. I'm just going to put the tiniest little bit there, as you can see, on the center of the bow. And then in a circular motion, kind of pull that out and up into the white space. And that's very light, very pretty, as you can see there. And then finally, we'll do this left side of her bow. And go ahead and scribble all this together with the water brush. Also make sure when you are using a water brush, with your zig markers in between colors you want to clean your water brush. That's very easy to do. All you do is have a paper towel handy, a little piece of paper towel, and you literally just scribble off the end of the brush until no more color comes off of it, and then you're ready to go to the next color. Now the tip of your water brush may stain. Mine certainly has stained. I don't know if that's showing up on camera or not. That does not mean you have to go run out and buy another one. That's going to happen, and that's perfectly normal. So, and it will not in any way impact the ability of the water brush to do its job. So don't think that that means that you have to go get a water brush. You don't. It's fine. All you have to do is in between colors, like I said, just scribble off that brush onto a piece of paper towel, and so that way you don't mix colors together that you didn't mean to mix together. Okay, so now I'm working on her dress, and I'm just using that pink again, and I'm going to go a little bit faster now for the purposes of the video. This is going to be a longer video, by the way. I should have apologized at the beginning of the video for that, but I really wanted to do a live color along of this beautiful image so you can really see how you can get beautiful alcohol marker-like results by painting. So I just kind of thought it would be beneficial to do a live color along so I don't leave any steps out and you can really see how easy this is to do. And I hope that you'll color along with me. I really do. It's so much fun, it's so therapeutic, and you get absolutely stunning results. I promise anyone can do this. So here you can see I've just done some shading on her dress here by putting the marker rather, which of course is going to be the darkest, where the darkest color is, along the pleats on the right here, because again that light source is coming in from the left. So we have our darkest color along the left side of the pleats, and then we just kind of mix that out together, and we have some beautiful shading on that dress. Now I won't do this for the purposes of the video, but you can always go back in and go right back over top what you just laid down if you want to make it, you know, a little bit darker. So if you want that pink to be darker and there to be more drama in between the dark and the light, you can absolutely go right back over what you just did. You don't have to let it dry or anything. You can just go right back over what you just colored and it'll work beautifully. I used some yellow on her apron, and now I'm using some light blue on the little apron bow, the bow that goes along the apron here. Just using some light blue. I really like this little color combination. It's really pretty. Now the light blue is very light. They're not kidding when they call it light blue. So generally whenever I use light blue, I have to scribble it twice over just to get enough color down so that it's visible. Now I'm going to go ahead while I have the light blue in my hands here, and I'm going to go ahead and color this super cute little teapot. So I'm just going to color around here. Obviously the right side of the teapot is going to be darkest, just based on, again, where I have my light source coming in. So I'm now just going to blend this color into the white space so it'll have a very pretty shadow effect with light and dark. There you have it. So you can see kind of right where that light source is hitting, right here, you have really light in the middle here of this teapot, and then over here and back here are shaded. Hopefully that's showing up on camera. Because it is a light color, sometimes it doesn't show up the greatest, but again, it will show up in the pictures on my blog, and I will link to my blog in the description box of this video. All right, so now let's do this little mug. I'm going to do this one with pink. I'm not going to really shade the handle because it's such a small space. I'm just going to kind of color that lightly with the marker, and then I will shade the cup. There we go. And you can see there with such minimal effort you have a really pretty shaded cup with the dark side over here and the light where the light source is hitting on the left side of the cup. I'm going to take my light blue now. This particular little cup over here is going to be light blue, and I'm going to do the same thing. Just scribble some color down and then pull it into the white space. And then this cup over here I did in yellow. So we'll just come in here with this marker color and then pull it out into the open space. Very pretty. And now I'm just going to take my light blue and just color in the dots on this mug. I'm not going to worry about shading on the dots, just being a little lazy there, but it does make life a little bit easier. All right, now let's go ahead and do her stockings. And I am just doing some light blue on her stockings. Forgive me for turning it, but it's just a little bit easier for me to see what I'm doing here and not get my head completely in the frame. All right. Just putting a little bit of marker down on the right side of the stockings because again, the light source is hitting the left side and that's where it's going to be darkest. Okay, now as you can see, I got a little bit of pink here where I want it to be white. So I have just scribbled the color off of my water brush and I'm pushing that color back and then dabbing it with my paper towel. If you do that several times over and over again, you will be able to erase that color. So kind of think about if you've ever used Copics, you'll remember the colorless blender. That is the very same technique essentially. You're just pushing the color back where you want it to go or erasing it essentially as far as the zigs are concerned. With that clean water, you're able to just erase that color right off. And again, you might have to go at it several times even. Several, depending on how dark the color is, but you will be able to eventually erase it. I've even been able to erase it with dark brown inks before. So I can tell you from experience as someone who tends to go out of the lines quite a bit, it does work, so you can erase it. Now I used 3 different reds for the tips of the mushrooms. The first that I used is wine red, and I'm just going to put some of that kind of over here along the right side of the mushroom. Again, that's all based on where my light source is coming in. And now I'm just taking my water brush and mixing it out into the white space. And as you can see, you get really pretty shaded results here. Okay, the next red that I used is deep red. And so I'm putting that one on this little mushroom down here. Make sure I'm still on frame. There we go. And we'll take our water brush here and scribble this out. And then finally I used red for this particular little mushroom right here. And then we'll pull this out. I just didn't want them all, they're so grouped together. I didn't want them all to be the same color. I just thought that might be a little bit too much and it might make the viewer less able to kind of distinguish the mushrooms from each other, if that makes sense. So I thought it would be better to just do them in 3 different reds. But like I said at the beginning of the video, you really can use less markers than I do. You can just use 1 red color and you would be fine. I'm just kind of coming in now with a light gray over the dots in the mushroom and the different mushrooms, and I'm not worried about shading. I'm just getting some of that light gray color down. It is a very light color. You can see it in person, but you might not be able to see it super well on the video. But again, you can see it in person. And then for this little mushroom out here, this one that's down here in the corner, I kind of just reused the one that's furthest away from it. So I reused that wine red color for this little mushroom down here. And I just scribbled, as you can see, the tiniest bit of color down. So I can just blend it out lightly and then take my gray and color in those little dots. And then of course the stems of the mushrooms as well. All right, now we are on to the books. I'm probably not going to color all the books on camera because it's just sort of the same repetitive process over and over again. But let me show you just kind of the basics and how I went ahead and did it. I used olive green for some of the books. So this one, for example, I used olive green, and I'm going to put some olive green down just here and up here where it's going to kind of be shadowed by the book laying on top of it. And then I'm just going to take the water brush and pull the color into the white space. And there you have a beautifully blended book. Say that 3 times fast, right? Now I have blue, and I'm going to do this book right here in blue. And we'll put a little bit of color up here as well from where this top book that's on top of it is shading it. And so we'll just bring this color out and down. And then for this little part of the book down here, I just put a little bit of color on the very end and then used my water brush very carefully, because this is a very thin space, to just fill the rest of this spine of the book, or the back cover of the book, with that blue. Now I also used red on some of the books, so let me just quickly show you how I did that. Same technique again, just a different color. Just kind of pulled it down, and then you just kind of use the illustration to figure out where your dark and light space is going to be. There's books on top of books, so obviously there's going to be some shading where the top book meets the lower book and that kind of thing. So also keep in mind your light source and that, and you'll be good to go. I'm just one out of the lines here, so I'm showing you again how you can correct that. So you just keep going at this quite a bit with some clean water from your water brush, and eventually that red is going to disappear. And the reason I know that is because for some reason on that same book, my original coloring, I did the same thing. I, for some reason, went out right there, and I just had to go back over it several times, and it worked perfectly. So the last part to coloring the books is to do the pages, and I just used light gray, and I was a little heavy-handed with it, but I used light gray and my water brush to really get those pages to have some color, but obviously not a lot of color, because they're going to be white, but they're also going to have some shading to them. White still has shading to it, so you want to make sure that you put a little bit of color on those books. And then I just vary the colors of the rest of the books. Same exact technique. I won't take time for the video to finish the books, but because I think you get the idea. So let me finally show you how I did her skin tone. For skin, I use flesh color and blush, and then I always use almond pink for the cheeks. So I start with the darkest of the colors, which is for the skin is blush. I'm going to come around and put some marker down around where, of course, her hairline is, because that's going to be darkest, and then, of course, to the right of her face, based on where we have our light source coming in. I'm now taking the flesh color and blending it with that blush. Notice I'm not putting the cheeks down yet. I'm now going to take my water brush and fill in this space here, the white space that's left behind. And then I'm going to take my almond pink for my cheeks. I'm going to scribble it down where I think the cheeks would be in a circular motion. And then I'm not going to blend those with the entirety of the face. I'm just going to take the water brush and go right back over the little circle of pink that I created. That's going to blend it in with that section of the cheek, but it's not going to mess up the rest of the coloring that we've done on the face. So that's how you do skin tone. Let's see, let's just do her arms really quick. We'll put some blush down quickly here, and then we'll put some of the flesh color. And I'm just putting, the arms are super small, so I'm just putting just the littlest bit of ink down. Probably won't even see the shading on camera, but in real life you can see it. So that's how we quickly can color this beautiful image. But I wanted you to see how you really can get gorgeous, almost Copic or alcohol marker like results by painting. And isn't that beautiful? Absolutely beautiful, I think. I just love these markers so much. So let me now walk you through how I put my card together. Again, here is the final card. And I just absolutely love her. She's so cute. What I did next was I wanted to create a little background of the beautiful pattern paper that Little Darlings Rubber Stamps sells. This is the Soft Blush collection, and I used paper from this pack to create my card, and I just wanted to thumb through it really quick so you could see how gorgeous this paper is. It's absolutely exquisite. I am in love with it and really can't get enough of it. So I really wanted to show you that really quick. So what I did is I cut a piece from there's this pattern, and I just cut it half an inch smaller than the front of a card because I wanted to have some pink cardstock behind it. So that's what it looks like when it's all cut, ready to go. And it would go on top of my pink cardstock. You can use any pink cardstock that you have in your stash. So that's how I'm kind of building this card up. The next step was I wanted to create a really pretty die cut element on the card. So I decided to use this gorgeous scalloped swag die. Isn't that beautiful? This is what it looks like on the back of the packaging here. And this is what it looks like when you cut it out. Isn't that beautiful? Oh my goodness, I just love it. So what I did was I took, let me just fasten this down really quick with some adhesive. I'm just going to do it quickly. Center this on top of your pink cardstock. And then I'm going to take the beautiful die cut piece. And I just cut this out from another piece of pattern paper from the same pack from Little Darling Rubber Stamps. And I'm just going to lightly put some along the bottom, just on the pattern paper, not going into the pink. All right. So I have one on the top, one on the bottom, and then I'm going to do one on the top here as well. Just putting a little bit of adhesive down, like so. And then all we have to do is simply grab a pair of scissors and cut where it would come, what am I trying to say? Cut where it kind of goes off the page, if you will. I didn't cut this one very well. But that's how I created the gorgeous scallops on the top and the bottom of the base before we would put this on our card. And then of course I simply added my image, which I backed on some more pink cardstock. I did ink around the image just a little tiny bit with some antique linen distress oxide ink because it was such a bright white. Bristol Smooth cardstock is a very bright white and I wanted to temper it down just a little bit. So there is a little bit of light inking with that antique linen ink, which is a very light, very subtle distress ink. I also just added some sequins from my stash, and then I want to talk about this cute sentiment for just a second. It says, "Be still my heart." And I use that sentiment because that's how I feel about books and tea. They just have my heart. So I thought that that was a cute sentiment and kind of went with the little packaging, or went with the overall theme of the card. So Little Darlings has these, they're little stickers in there called quick words. And it's a very quick way to put a sentiment on your card that, is quick and easy, and you don't have to pull out stamps and ink or embossing powder or anything like that. They're beautiful fonts, as you can see here, and beautiful different colors and different fonts and different sizes. So I just put the "Be Still My Heart" on this particular card. So that's it, guys. I hope that you love this card. I really do. And I hope that you'll give coloring of some of these beautiful, a little bit more complex images a try, because when you break them down into sections, it is honestly super easy to color these. So I hope that you'll give it a try, and I hope that you enjoyed this card. I had so much fun coloring with you guys today. Thank you so much for stopping by, and have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. For information on these and more products available at the LDRS Creative Store, visit us on Facebook and our website at www.ldrscreative.com.